Let me take you to this now. This week, Namibia will be the latest country in SADC to host its presidential and parliamentary elections with declining support for the governing SWAPO. There are questions about whether 72-year-old presidential candidate Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah can get the party over the line. For analysis on this, we're joined by Prof Henning Melber, who is a former director at the Namibian Economic Policy Research Unit. Prof Melber, thank you so much for your time. Really do appreciate it. How pivotal are these elections in Namibia, considering very specifically that SWAPO started to see an electoral decline even under the late President Geingob?
Good evening, Oliver, and good evening, viewers. These are certainly, since independence, the most interesting and by far the most contested elections. The last one in 2019 saw a decline of SWAPO, and SWAPO now campaigns with the ambition to regain a two-thirds majority, which it had lost, while others wonder if SWAPO would actually retain the absolute majority. And in contrast to South Africa, the 1.4 million registered voters of a total population of 3 million in Namibia cast their votes in two separate elections. They elect the National Assembly members on party lists, and in direct elections, the nominated candidates by the parties for the head of state, which in principle creates an interesting constellation. While one can assume that the biggest party will also manage to get the presidential candidate elected, it not necessarily has to be the case. It could well be that coalition parties rally for a second round of presidential elections behind one candidate who then might, despite being highly unlikely, but who might achieve the 50% plus one vote necessary and be elected. So everyone looks with curiosity and tensions at the situation and waits for the election results after the ballots have been counted after the 27th of November.
Yeah. What's a very interesting development in this election is the independent candidate of 2019, Pandulani Itula, who had 30% of the vote in 2019 as an independent candidate, this time around decided to run under a political party rather than as an independent. And he formed a political party. The Independent Candidates for Change is what they're called. Independent Party for Change, rather, is what they're called. What are their prospects, given that there's now a party infrastructure behind Pandulani Itali, who perhaps this time around might be able to garner more support?
He has the party, he has organizational support, but IPC is, compared with SWAPO, not as well anchored in all the regions of Namibia. It's still SWAPO who is the only party in Namibia which has a national network effective everywhere. And the other speculation or uncertainty is that the 30% that Pandulani Itula got in 2019 were considered to be mainly a protest vote. If he can keep those 30% and add to those 30% remains an open question. In contrast, Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, as the SWAPO presidential candidate, is the first woman candidate of the party, and it remains to be seen if Namibians are ready to elect a woman into the office of president.
Yeah. Are smaller parties like PDM and the Landless People Movement real prospects in this election?
PDM, standing for the Popular Democratic Movement, has been the official official opposition since independence. It seems likely that the IPC will bypass the PDM and might become the official opposition as a minimum result. They declare they want to be the next government and Itula the next president. That's overly ambitious, I would say. But PDM might stand the chance to come in as a third and loses this status as official opposition, with the LPM most likely coming fourth. The LPM, the Landless People's Movement, is mainly a regional ethnic-rooted party, which get the majority of voters in the two southern regions, among the Nama and the Damara, in the southern regions of Namibia.
Yeah. Prof Henning, thank you so much for your time this evening. I really do appreciate your insights. Prof Henning Melber is the former director at the Namibian Economic Policy Research Unit.